We're talking about JNLT photography now. So, but Kyla, John, described you as a naturalist. So I don't know how that kind of relates to the photography.
This is true. I'm a naturalist pretty much all my life. And I used to go out in the field, way out in the field, with stuff called Kodachrome. And it was very difficult stuff to work with. And I used to take lots and lots of pictures. And the equipment has changed, the technology has changed, everything has changed. My life used to be an expedition.
Hmm.
And then I got married.
And that changed everything.
Yeah, now my life is an odyssey. It's quite different. I still do a lot of photography. I still am a naturalist. I still get out and about. But now I take pictures of people, society, special events, things I never used to think about. And that's why my life is an odyssey now, because now this is a brand new dimension of living for me. So I have to thank my wife for this. She turned me into a social butterfly, so now we're fluttering along, and the photography changes, the technology changes. But really, it's all about focus and desire. That never changes, it grows. And that's really what I've discovered in myself. This is a type of personal growth that catches me by surprise on a daily basis.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
So, so was it like you were before you met Liz, you were less social, and out there in nature more and taking pictures in nature? Was that kind of?
That's pretty much the story.
Yeah.
He was an introvert.
Yeah.
And wanted to be with nature and wildlife
Yeah.
more than with people.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But then, how did you guys meet?
Well, that's a story.
Yeah.
How much time do you have?
You guys run into each other by accident?
Well, yes, we did.
Okay.
I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan, and
So, where did you meet? In Regina?
in Regina, I was visiting pro shops. I was actually working one for a while. And actually, I was working in a pro shop when I met you. And we were side by side, and I kind of noticed her, and she kind of noticed me. And she was always working with this big giant knife, you see. It was kind of intriguing. And she had this amazing accent. And she just...
It's considered quite exotic for us Canadians.
yes, very
Especially
exotic.
in Regina,
Yes.
I would think.
Yes. Yes, it was quite a meeting, and she ended up...
But before that, you were working for the Royal Saskatchewan Museum, and you were taking pictures of mushroom. And I couldn't understand why would somebody go to the park and take pictures of mushroom. I see people taking pictures of people and sceneries, but why mushrooms? And that intrigued me. And I asked him later on at the restaurant that I used to work at, were you the guy taking pictures of mushrooms? And he basically gave me the background of what he used to do, and he worked for the Peregrine Falcon Project, helping to release peregrines out of the roof of big buildings, the biggest building that there is in Regina. And he explained that I could go and take a look at those beautiful birds if I wanted to.
Wow.
You know, there's a peregrine falcon downtown Toronto,
Yes.
right? Near King and Yonge.
That's the beauty of the peregrine falcons. I started working with peregrines, releasing them as babies off of buildings. And when I was doing this work, it was very experimental. We didn't know if they'd come back and do this sort of thing on their own, and they did. They did it in a very big way. So now many, many cities all over the place have peregrine falcons, including Toronto. We have several in Toronto.
So why would we want them?
Well, this is actually a really good question. We want to introduce an exotic species that's endangered or considered in trouble to large populations of people. That was the original idea. And the idea of this is if people warm up, if society warms up to these beautiful creatures, they'll warm up to other, let's say ecological concerns, other endangered species that aren't so pretty to look at.
But is this natural for them? I mean, can they survive the harsh weather?
Nature is, we need to, nature is a really interesting word. I used to work at a nature center here in town, and I met a young student who was venturing off, career bound, and we were talking about this whole thing about nature, and we had the question come into the nature center a lot, almost on a daily basis. What is nature? And as soon as I said that, this brilliant student said to me, "What isn't?" And that's exactly where we're at. So it's natural for peregrine falcons to nest on any sort of a cliff. A building serves as a cliff.
Okay.
And it's natural for peregrine falcons to adapt. And we didn't know back then, we're talking about back in the 80s and 70s, how
Adaptable.
how adaptable they really are. Yes,
Wow,
that's a
that's
great word.
amazing. That's
And
amazing.
we found out in a really big way. They taught us a lot. We had early indications from Quebec that peregrines were willing to try to live with us in big cities. And now they've done it in such a big way. It's such a beautiful thing. Anybody who wants to see peregrine falcons in this day and age can go on the internet, find out where the peregrine falcons are nearest to you,
Wow.
get to know the people who are watching them, get to know the people. You can meet these people. They're out there with telescopes and binoculars, and they're kind of different. And it's really amazing. You can they'll be more than happy to show you the peregrine falcons. They belong to all of us. And so you get to meet really fascinating people. You get to watch these really wild, incredible animals do what they do. And what they do here in the city is pretty much the same what they do on really wild, inaccessible cliffs, inaccessible to most of us.